The month, June 2024. I had just come back from a weekend at a music festival and caught myself a fresh batch of coronavirus. Feverish, tired, and kept in isolation, I started to go insane. And as Albert Einstein almost certainly never said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, with that in mind, let's go shiny hunting. The word shiny in this case refers to these rare alternate coloured Pokemon that like to sparkle when they appear in battle. Shiny hunting being the extremely slow and repetitive process of continually rolling that 1 in 8,000 die again and again to become the master of your own luck. Now, I am no stranger to shiny hunting. In fact, slow, grindy gameplay is basically my entire vibe. But there's one location I've never encountered a shiny Pokemon: the Safari Zone. This is a location present in some of the older Pokemon games, and instead of battling the Pokemon to weaken them down before capture, you keep your Pokemon out of it, stare down your opponent, and try to capture them at full health without them running away. The slight benefit of doing shiny hunting in the Safari Zone is that you get to skip the animation of sending out your Pokemon for every encounter. This makes the hunt a tad faster. However, the huge downside is that the Pokemon can run away. In normal hunts, it's very hard to fail to catch a Pokemon once you encounter it. It only normally happens if you're unprepared. In the Safari Zone, you can and probably will fail to catch it. So, why am I doing this? It's Safari Week. For 1 week of the year, the shiny hunting community puts their time and effort into shiny hunting in the Safari Zone. I chose to do my hunting in Pokemon Pearl's Great Marsh. It's definitely one of the worst Safari Zones I could have picked, but Diamond and Pearl sit right in the center of my comfort zone of Pokemon games. I'm sick, stuck inside, and I plan to spend every single moment of my free time for the next week on this. I'm gonna do it my way. So without further ado, let's begin. It's a week later. I've been working from home, my fevers have gone down, and my lateral flow tests have come back negative. However, still no shiny in sight. I started the week hopeful, aware of how long these hunts can take, but hopeful. When I finished on Friday, I was beginning to get nervous, and about midway through Saturday, I was aware the chances of me getting a shiny before the end was less than 50%. That's one of the downsides of shiny hunting. Something that makes it harder than other kinds of grindy challenges. Even after a week of hunting, I'm no closer to reaching my goal than I was before. It's just rolling the same die on repeat. The game does not care how many times I've already rolled it. So it was Sunday. I had begun to accept that I was probably not going to find a shiny Pokemon. But I wasn't going to give up. If I was going to fail, I was going to do so playing right to the end. But just shy of 5 PM, this happened.
Oh my god!
While Bibarrel is arguably one of the worst looking shinies I could have encountered, I just didn't care. I had finally found one. But this was only half the battle. Now I had to catch it. I have 3 options here. I can throw Mud, Bait, or a Safari Ball. Bait makes a Pokemon easier to catch but more likely to flee. Mud does the opposite, making them harder to catch but less likely to flee. And throwing a Safari Ball is how you actually attempt to capture. The Pokemon has a chance to run away after every action I perform. Boringly, the best strategy is always just to spam Safari Balls. It somewhat takes the fun out of the whole thing, but there's no way I could convince myself to play suboptimally now that I knew the best strategy to bag my shiny. But do you know who doesn't know the optimal strategy? Most people. So to mix things up a little bit, I asked my friend Antonio to come over and take control. You might think that I'm insane for making my shiny even harder to catch after an entire week of grinding, and yes, I've spent an entire week running back and forth in a Pokemon game. Of course I'm insane. While I waited for Antonio to turn up, I had this brief moment of reflection. Here I was, Sunday evening, hadn't seen anyone in 2 weeks, and I was filled with a sickly mix of nerves and excitement. both from potentially catching the shiny, but also speaking to another human being and returning to post-COVID normality. And in my somewhat flustered state, I made a mistake. While I recorded our voices and reactions, I completely forgot to click record on the game footage. I know, after a week of preparation time, I failed at the easiest hurdle. Fortunately, using a mix of video editing and a certain piece of hardware, I was able to film a reconstruction of what happened for the purposes of this video. So, enjoy. Hello, Antonio.
Hello.
I have you here today because I have encountered a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Pearl's Safari Zone. I'm gonna want you to try and catch this shiny for me.
Okay.
So you may go ahead and pick your first option.
I'm just gonna go for the. I'm just gonna go straight for the ball.
Okay.
99% of my strats in Safari is straight for the ball.
See, look at shine.
Oh, it did break free.
Oh, okay. It didn't run away. So what are you gonna do now?
that didn't even get like a wiggle, did it?
No.
I'm tempted to throw out a bait and then try a ball again.
Yeah, it makes it easier to catch.
Yeah, that's what you said, which is the reverse of what I thought. It also is like just a Bibero. I feel like it should just get in the ball.
Yeah, I don't know its catch rate off the top of my head, but it can't be that high, right?
Let's just try another ball. Yeah, it's watching carefully, you know. I don't think it'll flee anytime soon.
Oh.
Come on.
Is it gonna stay?
Okay. Watching carefully. Okay.
I do know that different Pokemon have different flee rates.
Yeah.
I haven't looked up.
I'm just gonna go do it again.
Okay. We got 30 balls, so yeah. Hopefully if it doesn't run away. Oh, that didn't even wiggle.
Okay, we're gonna have to. If it doesn't flee this time, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to bait it now.
Okay.
Which might be late because now I might just take the bait and run. You know.
Yeah. No.
Oh man.
So that was it. Bibarrel fled. We had failed. Perhaps if we had thrown a ball instead of bait, we would have caught it. But we'll never know. Of course, I kept the shiny hunt going all the way to midnight, but that Bibarrel was unfortunately the only shiny I would see. Even though I ultimately failed, I'm not actually upset by it. Doing things like this helps break up my routine. It tells interesting stories that I can look back on fondly, weaving them into the tapestry of my year. One of the big reasons I started making videos of these weird challenges I like to do is that it motivates me to make the story more interesting. Helps justify spending long periods of time on niche frivolous things, and also acts to document the entire experience. Failing is just a different end to that story.